Okay, welcome back. I'm now going to continue my 32 and 32 with the Dallas Cowboys. Last season, they absolutely dominated when it came to the season. It came down to honestly the last 2 or 3 weeks of the year to determine who was going to get that NFC East crown. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be. So obviously, if you don't get your division and you have a very good record, chances are you're going to land in a wild card spot. And they ultimately got the number 5 spot with a 12-5 record. So going into the Week 18 matchup, it honestly didn't matter whether they lost or won. They ended up losing, but again, that didn't change their seeding or position when it came to the playoffs. Their home and away record, they had 9 games at home and they had 8 games away, they absolutely dominated when it came to being at home, with finishing with an 8-1 record. And then when it came to playing away from their home stadium, they finished with a 4-4 record. So they were 500 on the road, but absolutely dominant when it came to playing on their home turf. And against their division, they had 4 wins to 2 losses. So since they finished fifth in the NFC, they ultimately had to play on the road in the playoffs. So they ended up playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they actually ended Tom Brady's career, more or less, as they went into Tampa, absolutely smoked the Buccaneers, and they moved on to the divisional round of the playoffs, where they would play Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers, and ultimately they were not able to get the job done against said 49ers team. So they were sent home packing after the second round of the playoffs. Going into this upcoming season, and if you and going into the playoffs, more or less, you want to just try to avoid playing the 49ers. It honestly doesn't matter if you're playing at home or away, because the last 2 playoffs you played against 49ers. Again, you lost this past postseason in San Fran, and then you lost last year's playoffs in your home arena. So it doesn't matter who's home, who's away. If you're a Cowboys fan, just try to avoid playing the 49ers this year in the playoffs. They just seem to have your number as of late. So, as I always do, I'm just going to go over a few stats for the Cowboys. So, I'm just going to adjust my tablet here, so bear with me. See if I can get a somewhat focused look. Come on. Let's see Dak. There he is. So he finished last season with 2,860 yards, 261 completions out of 394 attempts, and a touchdown to interception ratio of 23 to 15. While Prescott was injured, Cooper Rush played absolutely phenomenal as a backup quarterback, finishing with 1,051 yards, 94 completions out of 162 attempts, and a touchdown to interception ratio of 5 to 3. Now, normally I don't feature running backs. I only like to do the quarterback position. But this one here strikes me. I had no choice but to go over to this one. So Ezekiel Elliott has been in the league as long as Dak Prescott has been. They were both drafted in the same year, in the 2016 draft. And he had a phenomenal start to his career, but lately it just seems like he's been falling off. He's been a shell of himself, if I'm going to be completely honest. So he finished last season with 231 carries, 876 yards, and 12 touchdowns. They have actually released Ezekiel Elliott, so I think they terminated his contract. He is now signed with the New England Patriots. So he's one of the two key players that they have lost. The other one was offensive guard Connor McGovern, and he is now headed to the Buffalo Bills. The 2 additions that they have added are Stephon Gilmore. He's ironically leaving Buffalo to join the Cowboys, and Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver, the veteran wide receiver. He is coming over from the Houston Texans. So he's staying in the state of Texas. He's just switching conferences, more or less. So going into this 2023-2024 season, I believe there's still high hope for the Dallas Cowboys. In all honesty, if it took, like I said, until the last couple of weeks to determine a winner in that NFC East division, I would not be surprised if the same happened again this year. If they can stay healthy, if they can be as fairly consistent and have an absolutely dominant home record, I would not be surprised if they even got the NFC East crown, but my heart's kind of telling me that the Eagles should have it. So between the Eagles and Cowboys, I believe both of those teams are a lock to get into the playoffs this upcoming season. And again, the Cowboys, if they do win, they get into the postseason. They should finish with at least a fifth. They should finish at least fifth in the NFC, which would be the number one wildcard spot once again. And I could see them easily getting 12 wins, maybe even 13 wins. They're just that good on offense and that good on defense, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. So if you're a Cowboys fan, you have some optimism going into this upcoming season. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time, take care.